Yeah, so I think one of the interesting things about embarking on this journey with you and learning more and more about the Piccirilli and their work is it reinforces for me this great idea that the Italian and American culture and history have been intertwined in so many more ways than most of us realize. Most of us who are of Italian descent know that there was a big wave of immigration in the 1880s, largely, if you live in the New York City area, largely from Naples, Sicily, and the South. And then, most of us are second, third, fourth generation here. And so assimilation works and you become more and more American, often still with a desire to connect to that Italian culture. But I think what the Piccirilli documentary has shown me is that clock starts a lot earlier and is much deeper than just this wave of immigration that we know about. What we know far less about is the people who really contributed to the building of America conceptually as well as physically, which is we tend to think about all those who went into the construction trades and helped physically build America. But people like Piccirilli, the six brothers, were really contributing almost to a philosophical view of what America is. So they arrive at a moment when America is really trying to demonstrate that it's a mature, industrialized, wealthy nation, and it wants to sit alongside, its other fellow countries on the world stage. And so I think what we've learned so much about is there were people like the Piccirilli or Cesnola, who was the first director of the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and numerous others who were contributing in great ways to almost, an aspiration for what kind of country we were going to be. And I think the artisans that my family certainly represents were very important contributors to the physical fabric, particularly here in the Northeast. But what the Piccirilli, I think, represent is the highest aspirations for American culture. So they were immigrants who brought certain skills, but they were also at the forefront of thinking about what our cities were going to look like, what our cityscapes were going to be, and the sheer volume that was produced by Attilio Piccirilli and his brothers is almost incomprehensible because they worked everywhere. And I think that one of the most astonishing things for me anyway was I thought of them very much as New York sculptors, and I knew that they had worked on the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., but I had no idea that they'd really worked across the country, and particularly the California building as part of the opening of the Panama Canal and those celebrations, and having in Balboa Park in San Diego, the California building that still exists today. But it also shows their craftsmanship and their knowledge, because they didn't build in California what they would have built here in New York. So in New York, you've got monuments like the
I'm sorry.
Fireman's Memorial.
Let me interrupt.